Welcome back to another episode of Strictly Sega, and a very special one at that.
You see, it's been 10 years since the fateful day the Dreamcast was released in Australia on the 14th of October 1999.
So in celebration of its birthday, we at Strictly Sega have a few things planned to talk about and show you.
Like to begin with, we take a quick look at the first issue of the Dreamcast magazine that came out here in Australia.
Secondly, with Strictly Sega of America and Europe both doing their top 10s, we thought we would do our own as well.
Then, following on with a look at the demise of the Dreamcast and why we think it was cancelled by Sega.
And finally, we will finish up with a classic game review. One of the games from the top 10 that we haven't looked at before, but is well worth a show. Jet Set Radio, or as you Americans call it, Jet Grind Radio. So it's a huge episode. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. Enjoy the show.
Part 1. The Dreamcast Lives.
Alright, let's have a quick look at the Dreamcast and its associating magazine. Now the Dreamcast came out here in Australia with a 33.6K modem, whereas the American Dreamcast came out with a 56K modem. Of course, they were both outdated eventually by the broadband adapter that could plug directly into your network.
But we did get an official light gun for the Dreamcast here in Australia, whereas in America, they didn't. Well, initially at least. Anyway, as Sega at the time felt that they didn't want to add to the mayhem and the hysteria that was created, of course, after the Columbine shootings.
Hey, but at least we did get a modem. The Hong Kong Dreamcast didn't even get a modem at first. Only an empty plastic shell.
It was rather hollow.
It was, wasn't it?
It was. It's like hollow promises. Of course, one of the big differences when you look at the exterior cases between the American-Japanese Dreamcast and ours, of course, is the swirly logo. In America, they got the orange logo, as well as they did in Japan, where here in Australia we were given a blue swirly logo. Now, supposedly, the orange logo means good luck, which when you consider it in the greater scheme of things, is all rather ironic.
Hey, but when we have a look at the Dreamcast magazine, not even the publishers themselves knew the direction of the Dreamcast and its future, and had to rely on regular Japanese gamers for their opinion and their assessment. As the Dreamcast had been around for almost a year already in Japan, coming out, what, November 98 I think it was?
Yeah, November 98, where we got it here in October 99.
Yeah, well, 14th of October 99, and that's why we're celebrating its birthday today. So, having a look at a few quick Dreamcast things, we've got...
Also, we'll find even things, great magazine if you ever want to check it out. Retro Gamer guys even have done their own Dreamcast review. I love this. Look at these gorgeous little units here. Right, and then this is the one that cracks me up the most. The Hello Kitty console. You just got to love that, don't you?
And going back to the original Dreamcast magazine...
Yes.
There's a few interesting things, like for instance, the Dreamcast magazine front cover has the date November 99 and says issue 1. But as we know, when you look at the magazines online, it says September 99 and it has this picture on the front. And we're a bit confused there. Anyway,
anyone's got any ideas, let us know, because it's obviously got us confused. Another interesting thing that we found actually, flicking through this, Chucky come across an interesting one. And I've just lost the page. Bear with me a moment here, guys. You wouldn't believe it. Back in originally in November 1999, when this magazine came out, there was a bit of hype and talk about Half-Life. Now, we all know the success Half-Life has had just recently, but who here has been aware? Even you and I weren't aware of this in 1999 until we flicked through this magazine.
And it never did come out, did it? It's funny, it was in the first magazine, and yet it never did get released, you know. Yeah. Anyway, so that's the Dreamcast magazine. We've really got to wrap this up because we're going to move on. But here we go, part 2.
Part 2. The Top 10.
Now, the wonders of the Dreamcast was that it had so many classic games released on it that it's incredibly difficult to say that this is the top 10 and have everyone agree on it, because what I choose will always be vastly different to Chucky's, or to yours, or to anyone else, for that matter, including these two peanuts. So if all three teams think differently, what does the rest of the Dreamcast Junkyard think? Oh, a little plug. If you feel like checking out our brethren's top 10, then go on, I dare you. Click here. Or click here. Or better still, how about you give us a go, and after the episode, click on the links in the description box.
Number 10.
Rez. Now, we did Rez in the first episode of the Strictly Sega Solo series, so there's not a lot more that can be said about this game that hasn't been said already.
Number 9.
Phantasy Star Online. This would be higher up the list if we could get this game actually online, but it's practically impossible with the European Dreamcast, so if anyone has some advice on how it's done, please feel free to message us and let us know. We have researched this for a year now and have tried at least 10 different tactics.
Number 8.
House of the Dead 2.
Classic shooter, and as much as Overkill tries to go for the old school grindhouse style, this game is the real deal, with horrible acting and a cheesy story, but with tons of fun to be had.
Number 7.
Power Stone 2. This game is great for those nights catching up over at my place with the DC for some multiplayer action. One night we even found ourselves playing this game till 4 AM. Nick had fallen asleep on us and had to miss work the next day.
Number 6.
Space Channel 5. The first time I put this game in the Dreamcast, I was completely blown away. Being a big fan of Guitar Hero, this game takes it all back to its roots with a fun, simple story and silly animations, plus the odd surprise here and there. Overall, a great game.
Number 5.
Jet Set Radio, or as you Americans call it, Jet Grind Radio. Now, we're going into this game later on this episode, so let's move straight on to
Number 4.
Shenmue. Now, we really would like to include Shenmue 2 on this top 10, so we're counting Shenmue 1 and 2 as just the single package. And what a package it was too, eh? With a huge story, it really was Yu Suzuki's opus, and he should be extremely proud of himself for such a classic achievement. I haven't finished the whole thing yet, as it takes hours and hours and hours to do. 30 hours in so far and we're still on Shenmue 1, but we could go on about this game for ages, with its great story and even greater detail, but we'll save this one for its own episode. Let's move on to number 3, hey?
Number 3.
Sonic Adventure. It's not unheard of for me to bag the Sonic series, but I have to admit that Sonic Adventure sits comfortably at number 3. With a great mixture of action and adventure stages, it's the closest thing Sega has ever come to Mario 64. In fact, I know it might seem biased, but I think Sonic Adventure is better. The adventure sections are small stages, but that is quickly made up for by the great action stages. Be prepared for a sore neck though from tilting your head left to right, just trying to keep up with this game.
Number 2.
Skies of Arcadia. Classic RPG, and again, way too much to say about this great game here. So stay tuned for a review of this game, coming real soon. Soon, being before the end of the year at least, we hope. This game is an RPG not many people have got into, which is a shame, as I think it is at least on par with Final Fantasy.
Number 1.
San Francisco Rush 2049. Not to be mistaken with the original game, this game offers 2 extra features that sets this game apart from its predecessor. The features are Battle Play and Stunt Mode, and I can tell you, we can't seem to get enough of it. Every weekend for almost a year, when all 4 of us would catch up to review a game or at least test a new one, It would usually end with a session of Rush 2049 stunts and then some battle. It was always very even, and as we got better and better at this game, using our weapons more efficiently, it made for high adrenaline action.
So that's all the time we have left for this part, but remember to click on part 2 for the rest of our dedication to the Dreamcast.